Hello, this is Kevin Benedict, SAP Mentor and Independent Enterprise Mobility Analyst. I want to thank you for joining us today for this interview and for these Mobile Expert podcast series. There we go. It's a mouthful this time of the morning. But it's not morning where Gil Bouhnick is. He's the Director of Mobility with Click Software. Thank you for joining us, Gil.
Thank you, Kevin.
So I've got a couple questions. I know that I read your comments often on the blog Mobile Fever, and you have a lot to share around HTML5 and Windows 8 and Microsoft Mango and all kinds of interesting subjects that I do believe would be relevant and interesting to our audience here. So why don't we just jump into there and let's talk about HTML5. What is your opinion of the status and its usability for mobility, enterprise mobility today?
Okay. I think that HTML5 is something that will change the industry significantly. It's something that is already happening. I think that it opens the way for real cross-platform applications that are developed rapidly with a good usability and good user experience, and that will soon fit for 90 or even more % of the requirements coming from enterprise companies.
I think I saw a very bold prediction from you about the year 2013, Gil. You were saying that the war would be over and HTML5 will win. Why do you believe that?
I think that companies are a bit tired of developing multiple times for multiple platforms, and even with the code generators and similar tools, it's not something that is working that smooth, and every once in a while when you get a new platforms like Windows Phone 7 now, you end up having to add a bit of additional layers and capabilities and versions for the same application, even if it is done using automatic code generators, as I said earlier. I think that having one code base is a huge advantage, and one code base that can also fit different form factors. If you build it correctly, then you end up having a very powerful combination.
Very good. Now, I've also seen in many articles that discuss HTML5 for enterprise mobile solutions, they describe an additional component called a hybrid container. What's your thoughts on hybrid containers, and what are they always going to be necessary?
So it's an interesting topic because the browser is a container as well, and many companies which are used to think native are actually taking the path of creating their own proprietary container. It can save some time when you need to do things that are not trivial to do with the web code or HTML5 code and JavaScript. But for the long run, I believe that they are creating a fragmentation in this technology, because when you build something that is using specific HTML5 tags that are supported by Android browser, iOS, and Windows Phone, and then you run it inside a native container like, PhoneGap or something that is built by a MIP vendor, right. You may end up finding that this tag is not supported or has some issues. The same goes with the vendors that are creating those containers and adding more and more support to things that are not part of the standard. And then software developers that are using those capabilities will find that soon when they try to run the same application on an iPhone, for example, or an Android tablet, this will not be supported. So proprietary capabilities and the containers will end up having a lot of different versions of HTML5 applications that are a bit different for each platform that they are running inside. And this is exactly the kind of things that we don't want to see with HTML5. I believe that the better approach would be to stick with what the big players are doing, even if it takes one additional year, and meantime you need to do some compromises. But in the long run, it will make HTML5 a much more easy and environment, which is only one a technology for all the platforms and not different flavors.
So if I understand it right, Gil, the hybrid containers or the containers vendors may use today, you think is there a purpose for them today in the short term to make up some deficiencies in the standard, but they should go away in the long term, or do you think they can go away altogether right now?
I think that they should be considered as workarounds or the easy way to solve current limitations, and there are current limitations, some limitations today. I can give you an example of integrating with the camera. So
okay.
We have a project who is using iOS devices, iPads and iPhones, and
okay.
This platform does not give you the right to access the camera from a web application. So what we've done is to wrap this, our HTML5 application, Click Mobile Professional, we wrapped it up with a native container. However, switching to Android, for example, Android Honeycomb and on, you will find that the camera integration with HTML5 is already supported. So as you can see, the times are changing, and the browsers are making a huge progress, any new version of the operating system. Therefore, we expect that in a year or maybe a little bit more than that, those kind of limitations will be resolved. Eventually, we need to remember that the browser itself is a container. So this is the best container that should be.